I didn't really put as much focus on my mental health until I started working in the creative industry. And then I realized, oh shit, my mental health actually matters when it comes to my work.
Come on guys, let's get creative!
This is still a tiny channel, so I don't really know the metrics of my audience, other than it's all dudes. But if there are any kids or teenagers watching this who want to be creatives, I'm going to become that person I swore I would never be when I was in high school and in college and in my 20s and now in my 30s. Don't be creative. Don't do it. So I haven't uploaded in a while on YouTube for no particular reason other than, well, the title of this video. I've been a creative person since I was a kid, I guess, but I've thought of myself as a creator, thought of myself as an artist since I was maybe 14. That's when the dream of becoming a professional filmmaker came to fruition. I wrote my first screenplay, feature length, when I was 15 years old. I've written over a dozen screenplays since. I've watched a bunch of movies, I've written blogs, I've done drawings, I've got a YouTube channel. I've got 3 YouTube channels, as a matter of fact. I've learned video editing, I've learned publishing, I've made short films, I've written short stories, I've written poems. I'm a creator. If you're thinking of becoming a creative person and you don't have a huge financial background, if you don't have a massive safety net or connections to the field you want to do, don't be creative. Do something else. For the longest time, for me, just the act of creating was enough. Finishing a screenplay or making a little video or writing a poem, something that only took me 5 minutes, that was enough. Just, hey, I did a thing. Look at this thing that I have. It's amazing.
What's your favorite idea? Mine is being creative.
That fades pretty quick. If you don't get an audience, if you can't financially support yourself with your art, then the sheer joy of having created something won't sustain you.
Whoa there, friend, you might need to slow down.
They say money can't buy happiness. That's not true.
Don't you love that one? Money doesn't buy happiness. Do you live in America? Because it buys a wave runner.
It's true on the metaphysical, emotional level. No matter how much money you have, it's not gonna fill whatever gaps in your life that are making you unhappy. In a literal way, money does buy happiness. It buys financial security. It buys, a roof over your head. It buys food. It buys the ability to take breaks. It buys the ability to go on vacation. It buys the ability to indulge in hobbies and passions. It buys the ability to try new things. When people say money doesn't buy happiness, I want to know what their definition of happiness is. Being creative is emotionally taxing. It needs to be. YouTube's a prime example of, look at the most popular YouTubers, the YouTubers who produce the most videos. That's not being creative for the most part. That's just being a seller. That's being a salesperson. It's marketing. The YouTubers that you guys probably love, it isn't just a let's just produce content as fast as possible. Hey, I found an audience that pays attention to it. It's what do I want to say? What do I want to talk about? What do I want to convey? What do I care about that I want to share? And just finding the time to indulge in the things that you care about and that you want to share can be real difficult the older you get, because of jobs, because of friends, because of girlfriends, because of relationships, and because of mental health. If the thing that you used to love, in my case movies, no longer checks the boxes, then what the hell are you doing?
You face forward, or you face the possibility of shock and damage. Where the hell did that come from? What's going on here?
I used to be able to watch 4 or 5 movies a day and love it and never be bored and be alone, like no one to talk to, no other friends to like watch with or discuss with. Just the sheer act of watching a movie was enough, good or bad. But after over a decade of diving into cinema, watching a movie loses its luster. It's just like anything else. If you do something enough times, it's going to become numb. And when the thing that you love makes you feel numb, just enjoying it, then talking about it, or creating a video essay about it, or fanning out over it, or hating on it, or whatever, sharing your thoughts with an audience becomes a real what's the point proposition. For over a decade, I wrote at least 1 screenplay a year. Some of them have been rewritten, some of them have been partially shot, never completed a feature film because making a movie is really hard. Many of them have been submitted to contests or to film professors and gotten lots of good feedback. I've learned from them. The last script I wrote is my best. It's been accepted in the Nickel Fellowship. It was in the quarterfinals of the Nickel Fellowship, which is a contest where if you win, you get a career, basically. And even getting the quarterfinals puts you on a list where every studio production agency in Hollywood can look at that list and call one of the quarterfinalists, semifinalists, or winners. I love that script. It was really hard to write, it was really emotional, it means a lot to me. The close friends who have read it, as well as perfect strangers who have read it, really connect. You know, it makes people cry, it makes people laugh. I'm very proud of that screenplay. It's been like 5 years since that screenplay, and I haven't written anything since. Don't get me wrong, I've put pen to paper, I have written down ideas. I'm not out of things to write, I'm not out of things to say. I have plenty of feature-length screenplays that I still want to write. I haven't because the simple joy of finishing a screenplay doesn't do it anymore, and the amount of emotional investment, intellectual investment, time investment became unreasonable and unreal to sustain. Having a job, no matter how much that job might suck, no matter how much it might drain you, no matter how much you hate it, that's going to pay the bills. That will keep a roof over your head. That will keep food in your stomach. That will keep the credit at bay. That will keep you alive. Finishing a screenplay, no matter how good it is, no matter if it gets in the quarterfinals of Nickel Fellowship, no matter if it makes strangers cry, no matter if it makes people really happy, which is the whole point for me of making videos like this, or writing screenplays, or someday producing, full feature films. It's to make a connection and to make somebody happy, or to make them think about their life. None of that pays the bills, unless you're very, very, very lucky. This video might just sound like sour grapes, like I tried and failed, so clearly I'm not good at it, so therefore I should stop. First of all, that's bullshit. If you enjoy doing something, drawing a picture, writing a song, writing a screenplay, if it makes you happy, do it, regardless of whether or not you're making money. What I'm talking about here is it no longer makes me happy to be creative a lot of the time.
Now, when you stare at the clouds in the sky, don't you find it exciting?
No.
The last 2 videos on this channel, the one about Pokemon challenges and the one about food wars, were a big deal for me, a big step up. I used a camera, I learned some editing techniques. There are mistakes for sure, autofocus is a problem. And they got a pretty good response, both just in views and engagement and all that YouTube bullshit. And also just from people liking them. Hearing from people that it made them smile, or they want to try that food, or they want to watch that anime, or whatever. However, I didn't enjoy making them. Editing a video is, for me, the worst part. And if you listen to a lot of YouTubers give interviews, they talk about how the thing that they enjoyed the most was video editing. Starting out, before they were making any money, they just enjoyed sitting down and using Adobe Premiere or Movie Maker or whatever. The actual act of putting a piece of film footage into an editing software and making a video. I can't stand that. It's technical, it's boring, it's unemotional, and it's not the reason why I want to tell stories. Because it's something I don't enjoy, that means I'm not very good at it, and I have to practice. And I've gotten better. Just like any other skill, the more you do something, the better you'll get at it. The easier it'll become, and maybe the more you'll enjoy it. However, if you look at large YouTubers, most of them don't edit their videos anymore. This video that I'm editing, which has very minor jump cuts and cutaways to images to kind of help me make my point, this is me editing this video. So the time commitment of making this video is sit down in front of the camera, think about what I want to say, eventually upload the footage, and then edit the thing. The part I enjoy is this, sitting down and talking, having an idea, wanting to share an idea, albeit a pretty negative one in this case. The editing part is the work, it's the most lonely, and it's also the most important. If you can't edit, if your video, no matter how good the ideas are, doesn't have a good editing pace, no one's gonna watch it, no one's gonna engage with it, no one's gonna see it. This video that I'm making is basically how a lot of the YouTubers that I like get their one video a week, 200, 300,000 view videos. This is what they do. They sit down in front of a camera, they freeform some ideas, they improv, they might have a loose structure for what they want to say, but they just sit in front of a camera and they bullshit and they make their memes and they make their references because they built an audience and they've got a lore of sorts, just like, Willow is here. She's the dog and the lion's in the background. So if you've watched my other videos, you know that the dog and the lion are part of the thing. The point is, when they're done spending 20 minutes in front of the camera bullshitting, they send the footage to an editor who they pay to make the video. Which means, for these popular YouTubers who still love it and make money off of it and they can produce one video a week, if not more, it means they can sit in front of a camera one day a week, bullshit for 3 hours about the anime they're watching, the food they want to eat, the drama that's happening on Twitter, whatever their channel's about. They can just sit down and bullshit for an hour, send the footage off to an editor, and then they've got a month's worth of content. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of these YouTubers started out as teenagers, they worked their way up, they put the grind in to actually edit their own videos. But, and this is sort of the crux of why I say don't be creative, sustaining that kind of output, if you're going to try to be creative for money, is draining and almost impossible. Unless, like I said, you have a financial background, you have a family that can support you, or you have a connection in the industry. You have an uncle who is a cinematographer or something like that. A lot of the YouTubers that I watch, who have been on the platform for years, started when YouTube was much smaller and when they were in high school or junior high even. So they had nothing but free time to just sit around and talk about video games or anime or whatever. The videos that they produced early on are really low quality, the camera sucks, there's no microphone, the editing is garbage, it's bad. But they were 14 and they could just keep putting content up and other 14-year-olds could watch the video and they could slowly get better and better and better. So by the time they reached 18, 19, a lot of them just dropped out of college because what's the point? They're already making a career's amount of money every month doing YouTube. And that's fantastic. I didn't have that, and I feel like a lot of people don't. While I was writing all those screenplays in high school, the housing market collapsed, my parents got divorced, the house they bought couldn't be sold, we went into bankruptcy, my mother and I, couldn't afford college, lived on her couch, couldn't find a job. That was my life. And I was writing screenplays, it was great. But you can't sustain that. So at age 22, I was like, I'm gonna go to LA and actually go to film school and use student loans. And I was #1 in my class. The head of the film department knew me. We would have drinks and dinner together. Professional screenwriters would read my scripts. I did everything I could, but I still wasn't in the industry. And a lot of people would ask me, well, why don't you go be an intern or go do an extra, go be an extra on a TV show, which I had done back in, when I was unemployed. I was an extra on Friday Night Lights for 3 seasons. Why don't you go get on-set work and network? And it's like, these people don't seem to understand that that doesn't pay money. Being an intern will not give you a job. Being an extra will pay you some money, but it's not really a viable path to having a career. And being an extra means you have to travel around Los Angeles. You have to have an open schedule. You have to be available to be on set for 10, 12, 14 hours a day. You have to be on call and ready to go wherever you're needed. I was a full-time student. That was where my money was coming from student loans, and I had part-time jobs. And in the midst of that, I was also trying to write movies, and sustain friendships, and attempt dating. Also, I was 24, so I was just trying to be a human and figure out how my life was gonna be. Being creative used to be the thing that made me happy. It's the thing that I identified as making me unique. It's the thing that I always wanted to do. The older I've gotten, and the more I've come to understand about myself, whether it's various mental problems that have been diagnosed, and I'm medicated, it's good, but severe depression, dissociative disorders, anxiety, stuff like that, stuff that's beyond my control. Being creative makes those things worse.
Green is not a creative color.
Having an idea used to be like injecting heroin. Oh my God, I had an idea. It's not a movie, it's not a screenplay, it's not a comic book, it's just a little piffle of an idea. And nurturing that idea, whether it led to nothing or led to the best thing I've ever made, was such a joy. Now when I have an idea, I just pretend I didn't. I've got a pretty long history with YouTube, as you can probably see over the various clips I'm showing from my various YouTube channels over the years.
How you doing? I'm George, the cartoon commentator, and we're going to be starting off today with Chuck Jones's Rapid Fire.
And as I've said on basically all of those channels, YouTube is the smallest version of filmmaking that I can do. It's feasible. It's just me and a camera and editing. I don't need a crew. I don't need a $300,000 camera. I don't need incredible microphones. I don't need a cast.
Every single aspect of making movies is a giant pain in the ass. And it's never worth it.
Really, I don't even need the camera. There are plenty of YouTubers out there who just speak into a microphone and then edit video footage over it. Or it's just like 45 minutes of Call of Duty footage while they narrate. And obviously, I'm still making videos. But I'm not even really sure why I'm doing it anymore. I mean, the big dream was always, I'm gonna be a professional screenwriter, director, filmmaker. The much smaller dream now is I would like to be a full-time YouTuber. I would like to make enough money to pay my bills and hire an editor and talk about the things I want to talk about. I know I've heard from the few comments that I get that my take on things is unique and interesting and funny. And I agree, otherwise, I wouldn't be on camera. That's the truth of all entertainers, is we're egotists. We want to feel that we're needed, that we're special.
There is weirdly no better feeling than just minding your own business, going out, and then someone stopping you on the street being like, I fucking love you.
Yeah, exactly.
And because that's a bit, that sounds a bit weird out of context.
The reason I'm making this video is because it's the weekend, I'm bored, I don't see my friends on the weekends. We're a year and change into a pandemic, and I don't know, I got bored watching YouTube and anime and video games. The things I do to sustain my time. Because most of my time is just wake up and kill time until it's time to go to sleep. That's nothing to do with being creative. That's just my own personal pandemic nightmare for the last year. So today I'm, having a drink or two and chilling with the dog and watching Trash Taste Podcast. And all they're talking about this episode is YouTube and how hard it can be and the various changes YouTube is making, and these three dudes are all younger than me. They've all made it. They've all got channels of over 1 million subscribers. They've got Patreons that, I'm sure it's not crazy numbers. I wouldn't call them rich, but the numbers they're making on their Patreon, it seems like wealth to me as someone who's only ever made $35,000 a year at his best paying job. These are guys who clearly love what they do. They've done cool collaborations. Their careers have led them to being involved in the anime industry. And yet they still consistently on this podcast talk about how YouTube is draining and painful and emotional, and how mental health and creativity go hand in hand in a way that it just doesn't in other jobs. If you have a job that you hate, that's 40 hours a week, and it's physically draining and emotionally draining, you're working for the weekend and you get done with your week, and then you drink or you eat or you hang out with your friends or whatever you do to unwind. When you're working, you're working. If you're trying to be creative for a living, there isn't a set window. I go to work, I get off work. You're creative all the time. That's who you are inside. And if you're trying to monetize that, That means you're never taking a break. It means you're always thinking of the next thing. You're thinking of the next video, the next screenplay.
But now it's like a constant, okay, I actually have to care about this thing, otherwise it will literally affect how well I'm performing at my job.
I have no more weekends and I'm constantly home.
And I'm not saying like, you know, if you have bad mental health, then you'll have an easy time doing your job, but it's just like in a creative job, you really see the effects of having bad mental health.
And when you start monetizing creativity, the balance struck between here's a thing I want to share because it means a lot to me, and here's a thing I need to just put out, whether it's good or not, because it's been a month since I posted a video and my channel is going to stagnate. And even if it's bad, getting 13 views on a bad video is better than 0 views on no video. Plus, being a creative means it's all a crapshoot, it's all a gamble. This video, for all I know, could become the most popular video on my channel and get me 100,000 subscribers or something. Stories like that happen all the time. Currently, my most popular video, which has like 1,400 hits, which is not a lot. Like, that's not a lot in the grand scheme of YouTube, but compared to my other videos, which average about 1,400 views is huge. That video is just like a troll, basically. It's just like a nothing of Steve Carell laughing at some old Dana Carvey jokes.
Special home improvement followed by the Diet Mug Root Beer Dana Carvey Show.
But I guess I titled it right, or I used the right thumbnail, or I tagged it properly because the algorithm liked it, and that video keeps getting views. The videos I cared about trying to make really well and were unique takes on topics, like the Pokemon Challenges video and the Food Wars video, those did pretty well, you know, by gaming the system and going on Reddit and spamming people on Twitter. But once the audience that saw it, they stopped getting views. That Steve Carell video continually gets views every day, every week. It is consistently my most viewed video, unless I post a new one and tag the fan base that specifically wants to watch that video. Monetizing creativity means that you either suffer and try and hope and pray that you're gonna get lucky and make the content you wanna make, or it means you keep making Steve Carell videos because the system said that one's popular. This channel, Hesitant Lion, obviously was intended to be an anime channel primarily. The plan was maybe build an audience using anime, because I love it, and it's the thing that movies have faded for me, but anime still kind of gives me that creative jolt. It's the thing I enjoy watching. It's new, it's fun to talk about, I'm not nearly as jaded. And then slowly but surely add in other topics. So there's a Kevin Smith video on here. I was thinking about doing some kind of Star Trek, something or other. Just like it's mostly anime, but I can talk about other things I like and slowly grow my audience and maybe introduce anime fans to new stuff. Honestly, the big inspiration for the channel, spiritually, would probably be Super Eye Patch Wolf, who is the anime guy. He's one of the best anime YouTubers on the platform. But he also just talks about professional wrestling, and he just did a video on Undertale, or, man, Sonic is kind of weird, isn't it? Just whatever kind of pops into his head. His most recent video is about Space Jam. I think I've rambled long enough, and hey, that means this video is probably over the 15-minute mark, which means it's better for the algorithm. I did want to put something on the channel. This is more for me than it is for anybody watching, although thank you so much if you are and you've made it this far into the video. This is just for me to remind myself that I have a YouTube channel. I have a camera, I have a microphone, I have a dog, and I can be creative. I can put something out there, and I might get lucky, or I might not. But if I'm feeling alone and isolated and empty and just there's nothing to watch, nothing to do, nobody to hang out with, I can always talk to the camera, and who knows where that might lead, both in terms of a career and in terms of sparking something in my imagination that makes me want to write, makes me want to draw, makes me want to watch another anime, whatever it is. I still stand by the original thesis statement at the beginning of this video, which is, don't be creative, kids. Not until you can. If you can find a job that you don't absolutely despise, that will pay your bills, that will give you continual raises, that will give you a savings account, do that and put your hobby to the side. Let it be a hobby. Let your passion be a hobby. If you're dead set on making your passion into a career, be careful, because it's mostly sad stories. You know, 99% of creatives don't have happy stories. And I don't even mean 99% of creatives don't become successful. It's probably even less than that. Like, very small percentage of creatives become successful enough to do it for a living. I mean, they're not happy stories. I mean, creatives become obsessed with their art. They isolate. A lot of creatives are, you know, addicts, alcoholics. A lot of them are depressed. A lot of them end their own lives. A lot of them lead lives of quiet futility. A lot of them become angry and jaded. This is not a happy video. I'm sorry. I was watching a video with Edmund McMullen, the guy who made Super Meat Boy and Binding of Isaac. And he was talking about how a fan came up to him and said, "Hey, I saw that documentary you were in, Indie Game the Movie, and I quit my job and I'm gonna go be a game developer."
And that goes for you too. You gotta be realistic with yourself and know yourself enough to be like, wait, am I an idiot? What is this a bad investment here? Should I not be spending my... People come up to me and they say, "Hey, I saw Indie Game the Movie, quit my fucking job. I have no health insurance anymore. I have a wife and kid." It's like, what? What?
Why did you do that?
What are you doing? There's other ways to go about this. Please don't put this on me. Take care of yourself.
Don't do that. I guess what I'm trying to say is don't put your everything into your art. Anyway, hopefully there'll be another video on this channel soon that will probably be about a happier topic, I hope. Like I said, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.
Make sure to leave a comment talking about how, I got nothing, dude. Just click the bell.
I'll see you next time in another Hesitant Lion video. Bye.
But yeah, I mean, is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
I don't know, man. YouTube can be deep, but it can also be poo-poo pee-pee stinky. And I think that's what I've gotten out of today's episode.
Now let's all agree to never be creative again.